lifestyle. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. Factories hum with a steady grace, ideas born in this boundless space. A light bulb flash, a towering steel in every corner. The promise feels real. From the ground to the stars, we're built on dreams, we're raising bars. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America.
Can you hear us now, Chris?
A shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for. The grass is greener in America, where freedom sings, where hearts run wild. The grass is greener in America, a shining city, a dream compiled, the place the world keeps reaching for.
Well, folks, is the grass really greener here in America? And here to perhaps answer that question, although they've been here for a short time, is Freak. And I hope I pronounced correctly. I've been saying Frick. I'm not sure if it's Freak or Frick. I think it's Frick. And his wife, Pamela. Doesn't sound very Afrikaans to me, Pamela. What's going on here? Did you slip in with the Afrikaners? What's going on? Hey, welcome to the program, guys.
Thank you, Chris. Hello to your viewers as well.
Well, look, now you guys are not part of the original 59, and frankly, you're the first, I believe, the first refugees in America who are being interviewed who are not part of the 59ers. I'm not aware of any other refugee ever being interviewed by any media outlet. So first off, buy a donkey for that. Thank you for that opportunity to speak to you, and thanks for jumping out and saying, hey, happy to do the interview. The reason that it's important to me is that the misreporting, the dishonesty that we've seen in the media has led to this focus on the 59ers and this obsession with claiming that white Afrikaner farmers are the only people coming over, which is simply a lie. That's been a lie since the very outset. Coloreds came in the first 59 group. Indians and coloreds have shown up since then, and lots of English-speaking white South Africans also shown up. So my view is that the more people that speak about their experiences, a couple of things will happen. Number one, it will reassure those who go through a very, I don't want to say traumatic, but tension-filled process. And also, the media will lose interest because there's no story for them. So that's why I've invited folks, and you've taken me up in the offer. So again, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, we're happy to do this because we can remember what it felt like waiting for that call that felt like it never came. You know, we know what it feels like, and then we got the call. And I just want to say that part of our group, there was an Indian gentleman there. He was definitely not lost. He was being interviewed. So yeah.
So I'm going to ask a lot of questions that are going to seem rather simple and basic, but it's to make a point. Every person, every family's experience is different, even though you're going through the same process. Some people talk the RSC, some people talk to Afrikaner, or Amerikaner, excuse me, and other people talk to CW. It's back and forth, and each experience is unique. The 59ers have many things in common because they had a charter flight over. It was a pilot program, but now everyone coming over has a different story, and I think we're going to find that out by talking to you. So the first question I want to ask is, when did you first become aware of the program?
Well, on your one of your clips you made, so I wanted to thank you for the valuable information you shared, because I made use of that, and here we are.
Wow, well that's good to hear too. So that do you recall the time frame? Was that out in February when it happened, or did it come later?
Yeah. I remember the clip you made. You started off by saying it's on, and then I started jumping around because I knew things are happening. So it was that. I can't remember a specific date. I'm sure you may remember.
Well, if that was when I was at Wimpy at OR Tambo, that would have been May 12th, if that's it. Now, that was before that. I started reporting in February, but the program itself before then was just people sending PRM emails. So did you send a PRM email, or did you do the statement of interest?
We did the statement of interest.
Okay, so probably about May. Okay, great.
Yeah,
all right, so you heard it from my channel. That's great to hear. So you came over. You mentioned an Indian gentleman came with you. You came on a commercial flight, correct? I imagine a Delta flight, probably.
Long flight, yes.
Oh, it's definitely a long flight. Look, I've done it over 100 times. It's not fun. You know, coming over is worse than going to South Africa, because you have the headwinds coming back, and sometimes it can be 17 hours if the winds are really bad instead of 15 hours. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to experience the going back, because I'm not going back. We are home now.
All right. So when did you guys arrive in the States?
The morning of the 17th. Yeah, the morning of the 17th last month.
Of September. So you've been here about 3 weeks.
Yeah, almost.
Okay, almost 3 weeks. And how is it going with your refugee assistance? Do you have a refugee assistance case officer?
Yes, we do. Very nice guy. ECDC. Well, everybody from there, they're very helpful. So he spends a lot of time with us. Sometimes he'll take us to appointments that we need to attend. I mean, there's appointments scheduled for almost every day in the week. It's Social Security offices where you apply for a Social Security number, W-2 program, medical screening. There's so many things happening. I mean, there's a lot of paperwork. But yeah, he spends a lot of time with us.
So have you been able to get your Social Security numbers already? I understand that. I don't know where you were. That's why every experience is different. Some people now have informed me that they're filling out the Social Security paperwork in South Africa as part of the processing before they even leave. I don't know. Did that happen with you or no?
Yeah, so we received our employment authorization documents. We've received that last week, and we actually had an appointment at the Social Security offices on Friday. So they advised us that we're probably going to wait for another 2 or 4 weeks before that gets here. I don't know if there's anything else that's happening. There's a lot going on, something that maybe had a negative impact on the speedy process of that. But yeah, we were told that we need to wait another 2 weeks, probably 4.
Well, that's most likely a consequence of the government shutdown. So many people in the Social Security Administration are not working right now. And even though a computer generates your number, there still has to be a person to process your forms. So that's probably what it is. That's unfortunate, which will keep you from working. But that, as long as you're not desperate or strapped badly for cash, that'll give you more time to get acclimated. That gives you some time to get acclimated. So you are in Wisconsin, a land settled by lots of Germans, and was very famous for its beer until Prohibition, when we destroyed all our great breweries, and now we make piss water we disguise as beer with carbonation in it. But Wisconsin's heavily settled by Germans, and they've swung politically left. That's a state that goes back and forth. It's interesting. It's a beautiful place. How do you like it so far in Wisconsin? Oh, by the way, before you answer that question, it's October 7th. Get ready. It's going to get chilly.
Yeah, we heard that. 1 or 2 people told me that I'm most probably going to have to acquire a jacket. I won't be able to go. But yeah, Chris, this is a very special place.
Okay.
Obviously, there's a lot still that we need to explore. We came here with a mission, that is to start working as soon as possible, and to prepare ourselves for the arrival of our children, because we believe that they are going to join us soon. They're adults, so they had to make this decision on their own. They already completed that statement of interest, and I know that they've also received email communication from the Refugee Support Center. So yeah, we But for now, we're anxiously awaiting our social security cards.
All right, Frick. Now, look, I've got to make this statement here. I don't know if I need to call the authorities or not. You're talking about having adult children. Pamela looks like you've robbed the cradles. No way she has adult children. What's going on here? Do I need to call the police? Is anybody in danger? Pamela, just wink if you're in danger.
If I take off my US cap, you'll understand the age thing. Old. But my son is 22, my daughter 25, husband Louis 26, I think 27. Yeah, so we're anxiously awaiting their arrival.
We have a grandson as well, Chris.
Yeah.
Are you serious? So you're making this up? Okay, all right, guys. I promise you to talk to refugees. They sound like frauds. There's no way she's got a grandchild. All right, now I better stop. It sounds like I'm chatting her up. I'm not doing that. I'm just paying you all a compliment. You guys look pretty good.
Thank you.
We feel good. You asked about how we're experiencing Wasau. My husband and I have been going back and forth on how to pronounce it. I want to pronounce it Warsaw. He's Wasau, but okay. I've been proven wrong. But it's a beautiful, beautiful place. Great place to raise a family. It feels, and everyone's made us feel very, very welcome. Everybody, everyone's friendly, everyone's helpful. This place is a wonderful place. Everyone helps everyone.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's probably a good idea, guys, that I did this interview with this week, because if I contact you around Christmas time, you might be a little more grumpy with all that snow and that cold wind.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, actually. I've never experienced anything like that. We're looking forward to it. Now we're going to enjoy it. I always say your attitude is going to be very important, whatever you do. If you go in with a positive attitude, you can enjoy it. It doesn't matter what's happening. You just need to get your attitude right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd agree 100% of that. So let me just delve into some more personal issues here. So what do both of you work? Do you both have a profession? Or what was your occupation back in South Africa?
You want to start off?
I taught English for many years, but I decided I might go insane with the kids, So I moved to a more administrative, but I still worked at a school. So I was an administrative assistant. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yeah.
I was a policeman, and after that, I worked as an investigation specialist for a financial institution. I'm not going to specifically name the company, because I had to sign a document the day I received the MSA that I cannot speak about them, because I was involved in fraud investigations, a fraud risk department. So obviously a sensitive information that I obviously can't talk about.
Obviously, non-disclosure statements, I understand that. That's not a problem. But also, a couple of things here. Number one, you've just hopefully put to rest, not entirely, but partially put to rest, a concern that many people have had. A lot of people started freaking out a few weeks ago when Professor G put a video up about being involved in the police and military. And I've told people all along that that's not a bar to becoming a refugee. As long as you're not involved in criminal activity or human rights violations, it's not an issue. But some people receive scrutiny because they're older and served in the police during the township nonsense in 1985 or in the border war. And I told them, as long as you haven't committed crimes against humanity, it's not going to be an issue. But people are freaking out. Obviously, you were served in the police, so that wasn't a barrier for you coming over.
No, it wasn't. I must be honest, during the interviews, they spent quite some time with me. They seemed to be very interested in certain things that happened, cases that I investigated and bad things that happened. So they were very interested in that. But I never felt like I'm being targeted, or I felt like they had compassion. They wanted to know how could one person go through things like that, and how do you keep it together and things like that. So I never felt like it's going to negatively impact my application. Never.
So were you interviewed or were you screened by RSC or the Amerikaners?
Yeah, so first we had a pre-screening interview scheduled with the Refugee Support Center. That was an online interview, but USCIS facilitated that. And the next day we had our interview with USCIS. And I think a week after that we did cultural orientation, also online. And then on the 2nd of September we did our medical assessment.
Now, did you do your interviews in person in Joburg or Pretoria?
Pretoria.
yeah, that's where most people are doing it at. But there are some exceptions. So the process that you went through, from your perspective, did it seem long? I'm sure that if you're anxious to come, it probably seems long. But we've talked about this before, about people sitting in camps in Kenya and in Uganda for 5, 10, 15 years, waiting to get to the Netherlands, U.S., Canada, somewhere like that. And a lot of people are moaning that it's unfair that the South Africans are coming over so quickly. But from your perspective, did time go fast, or did it seem like time was hanging? Because I imagine when you're waiting for something, I mean, every time I moved 26 times in the Army, and I knew where I was going. But each move, there's a degree of stress and angst that's built into that. So what was that experience like for you, and how long did you wait from that first call to your arrival in the States?
All right, Chris. So first of all, we received email communication from Refugee Support Center. They advised us that we might get a call from one of the numbers they listed. And I actually missed quite a few calls from them because we lived on a farm, and there was a lot of copper cable theft going on, and then it would interfere with the towers, the signals. And once or twice I had discussion, while I was in a discussion with someone from Refugee Support Center, the line would cut, and it was just, I thought, there goes my chances of going to USA because of copper cable thieves. But they kept on calling back, and eventually they just advised me via email that we're scheduled for pre-screening interviews. So then from there, things happened fast. I mean, that was 18 days from when we received the notification to go for interview up until the time when I received a call to notify us that your plane tickets are booked. 18 days.
Well, that's a pretty fast turnaround time. It's a lot of people. And I think, Frick, I'm really glad that you and Pamela have come on, because we've already put to rest a couple concerns, like having served in the police, and now another one here, because I get calls from people and messages from people all the time. You have no idea. I have 10,000 messages sitting here waiting for me right now. People saying, I got a call and they hung up on me, or they said they're from RC and I got disconnected and I haven't called back. And I've told people, I said that, they will make multiple attempts to contact you if they miss you on the phone. And you just confirmed that in your case, you missed several calls and they still got a hold of you.
Yes, true.
They did. Yeah.
So Wisconsin. All right, guys. I mean, other than Badger football and cheese and dairy farms, what's the attraction? Did you have any say? Did you indicate you wanted to go there, or they just rolled the dice and Wisconsin's where you wound up?
Yeah, interesting that you should ask that, because so when I received the call from Refugee Support Center to advise us that our plane tickets were booked, I was so excited. I immediately drove to my wife's work, and on my way there, I only realized that I never asked him where we're going. My wife, well, that's the first thing she's going to ask me. And so, yeah, I arrived at her work and I said, look, we're going to US. And she said, where? And I said, I don't know. But the same day we received email confirmation to say that you're going to Wasau, and that's where we are. Beautiful place.
Okay, so you had no input in it whatsoever. Did you indicate anything that you have family or friends or job opportunity, or you prefer to live in California, or you wanted to live in New York? I mean, was there any indication, or you just can I go, and this is where you wound up?
We trusted, Chris, we trusted the program. I didn't care where we would end up. We made a joke, my wife and I, a few years ago. A friend of mine gave me $15. Because I collected money. I worked in Malawi and Botswana, so I collected banknotes, and I kept it. And so when we came here, we gave everything away. Everything we had. I didn't have a farm and businesses, but whatever we had, we gave away. And I took that $15, put it in my wallet, and that is what we came here with. So no, we trusted the program, and everything.
We made it. We prayed about it before, so we trusted that we would end up where we were supposed to.
We know we are here because the Almighty willed it. So we fully trusted the program and just went for it.
Well, Willem and Kara up in Twin Falls, Idaho, are very happy where they're at, too. And I've been out there to see them, so I can see why they're so happy. It's been a while since I've been to Wisconsin. I used to teach at Iowa State University, and I had to go up to Fort McCoy to do military stuff because it was the closest military base for the Army. So I've been up there quite a bit. I don't know if I'll be out to Wisconsin anytime soon. Certainly, I'm not promising to come this winter. Not coming out over the winter. But the Willem and Kara, when they arrived, the first thing they did with a little bit of money they had is they went to Walmart and bought an American flag. And I've seen that flag. I've watched Willem take it down in the evening, 2 different evenings in a row. He's very devout about it. It's really awesome to see. He's a South African, but showing his gratitude for America. I see you're wearing a cap that's got a U.S. flag on it. Did you have any similar experience? If you did, fantastic. If you didn't, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just curious.
Well, Chris, the house, we live in a duplex, top part. My 72-year-old neighbor lives downstairs. Great guy. He already showed me all the good local fishing spots. But there's already a US flag mounted on this house, and I can't think of one house in this whole street that doesn't have a US flag. So it was already here. So what I did is I bought myself US socks yesterday, and I wore them proudly to the shop. I got one dirty look. I think it was from a Democrat, but it's what I did.
So, guys, I mean, moving to a new country has enough of its challenges anyway. Look, I lived in 16 foreign countries, and so each one has its own approach. I lived in majority Muslim countries, overwhelmingly black countries, leftist countries, all over the world. And you have these challenges when you move. Coming here in the status you've come here as a refugee, trying to escape persecution in South Africa, that's one thing. So we'll get back to it in a little bit. But I do want to ask this question now. Any cultural challenges so far? I mean, now that you're driving on the correct side of the road, we've got that sorted out. You're not on the wrong side of the road with 15% of the world. You're with 85% of the world. What about that? I mean, the ubiquitousness of fast food joints everywhere. I know South Africa has fast food joints, but not every 5 feet. We seem to have them everywhere and have hundreds of them. So are there any cultural shocks or things you've discovered in the first few weeks that are really, other than Pamela having a hard time saying Wausau?
No shocks. I wouldn't say shocks. I must be honest. I was very surprised, both of us, to see how friendly the people are. This is something that I was a little bit worried about because you heard things from people saying the American people are not friendly and this, and that's not what we experienced here. People are very friendly, and you have an agent, a W-2, and there's an agent here. Everybody seems like they want to set you up to succeed. Everything they do, the way they speak, and we really feel like we're excited. Nobody ever made us feel like we're not welcome. Again, I don't know the whole of the US, but this specific place and the people we met made us feel very welcome because they're very interested in art. They immediately detect the accent there. And then they ask questions, and we ended up having long conversations with the doctor we saw, and even the consultant at the bank. People are very interested to hear where we come from, and we're happy.
Well, that's the thing, and it really irritates me to no end. I've lived all over the world, and I've never met friendlier people than Americans, and that's the truth, no matter what part of the country. Even in California, there's plenty of friendly people. Now, urban centers are a different story, but that's just the nature of the world. But you're in a peri-urban place or a semi-rural place, or, people, and even in urban centers, people can be friendly. And a lot of people tend to be polite. There are rude people, but, I mean, that Americans are very much that way. And I hear anybody that ever says Americans are rude, they don't know Americans. They don't know America. So, and I think that you're kind of proof in that, what you're explaining. So thus far, you've got a place, you're in a duplex, and you're getting assistance with that. You're waiting your Social Security appointment numbers, and you've already got work authorization. So are you already actively looking for work, or are you holding off until you have that Social Security number?
We have to. We were told that there's a screening process that will happen here with your employer, so we have to wait for the Social Security cards to arrive, but that's something we're not worried about, Chris. The agent assigned to our case at ECDC, they're assisting us with. They asked us what we're interested in. Like, for example, tomorrow we have a cultural orientation session, and I'm going to meet with a policeman there, and he's going to give the final answer that I was actually waiting for. Will I be able to join the police here? And it's like everybody wants to help you succeed. That's something we're not worried about. I mean, there's so many people. I've already received phone calls, and I said, look, we can't engage in anything yet. We were told that we need to wait for the Social Security number, and those two things is what you need before you work: employment authorization document, which we got, and the Social Security number.
Yeah, you absolutely do need that. I mean, unfortunately, it's not supposed to be that way, but the leftists in the 1930s created Social Security Administration, and it's not supposed to be a national identity number. We don't have technically a national identity number, like almost every country has. And unlike most countries, you are not required to carry identification on your person at all times in America, which is unusual. Most countries, you have to have identification. Now, people say that's not true. You have to have a driver's license. Only if you're operating a motor vehicle. You know, you only have to have that if you're operating a motor vehicle. It's like you're walking down the street. You don't have to have a driver's license to walk down the street. So it's unique in that aspect. But in a practical standpoint, you have to have ID with you all the time. If you want to go cash a check, if you want to get your medicine, things like that. But by law, you're not required identification, which is really it's really liberty at its best, to say the least. So, Wausau, I'm guessing that there's beautiful buildings, nice trees, parks. Have you experienced any of that so far?
Absolutely. There's still a lot to explore, Chris, places to see. Well, there's 2,500 plus miles of public trails in the county. That's a lot. I mean, so if you like fishing, camping, those type of things, this is a perfect place to be. But it's absolutely beautiful. There's quite a few parks. We went down to Memorial Park the other day. What a pleasant experience. We didn't see one candy wrapper or empty beer bottle or something. It was beautiful, clean, and that was a very pleasant surprise. So it's beautiful. The parks, there's quite a few. I don't know how many. I believe there's 5 or 6 or 7 just in the Wausau area.
Well, I kind of envy you, because when I drive down the highways here in central Pennsylvania, the pigs throw their rubbish out the window, and it irritates me to no end. You know, I've collected, before my hip became a problem, over a period of a couple years, I collected 250,000 aluminum cans from walking on highways, just exercising. I bend over and pick them up. It's just, so I'm glad you're living in a place where it's clean and people respect the community they live in. That's good to hear. It isn't that way everywhere. It's frustrating. I remember I really got angry when I was in Chicago a couple years ago to give a speaking engagement. And I was staying at the airport for my flight out the next day, and I went out to walk, and it was near the overpass, and it was almost like a landfill. That's how filthy it was. Some people can be really nasty. They don't appreciate what they've got. But it sounds like you guys really appreciate what you've got and where you're at.
Very, Chris. And I mean, we're thinking about our grandchild now. So when you walk in a street and you near the road, you'll find that people will stop. The cars will stop, giving you way. I'm not used to that. You just walk up to the street and vehicles will start slowing down. That's why my wife said it's a perfect place to raise a child. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, every evening we go for a walk. Sometimes after dark, and we don't feel at all that we shouldn't be out in the streets. We're just enjoying it. I mean, we haven't been here for long, but it's been a pleasant experience every day.
Well, and you're coming at a good time, because from my perspective, my favorite season is fall. I love when the trees change color and the weather begins to shift from the oppressive heat or the heat to the chill in the morning. And then we have football season, American football. It's my favorite time of the year. So I get excited. Plus, you have something coming up that I don't know if you thought about this, but I suspect that maybe you have. We celebrate Thanksgiving every November on the last Thursday, and it sounds like you have something to be thankful for this year.
We've got a lot to be thankful for, and we are very thankful to America and everyone involved. And obviously to our Lord for we here because of Him, and so we will celebrate Thanksgiving for the first time this year, and we're looking. I'm looking for recipes to the traditional food, and to cook my husband a traditional Thanksgiving meal. So, we've got a lot to be thankful for.
I said to my son and my son-in-law just before we came here, they were worried about, will you be able to braai and do this? And I said, look, I can be Afrikaans everywhere in the world. We're gonna go there, and we're gonna still do. We already identify a church that we're gonna go to. But my neighbor organized a braai stand that I'm gonna test. I think this weekend coming. Gonna try that out this weekend coming. But I mean, we know we're not in South Africa, we're in US, but we still feel very connected to the things we used to do. And we like I said, there's still a lot to experience and explore. We came here with a mission, and there will be enough time for that.
Well, guys, I just want to address something here very quickly. People keep asking questions about what you answered. These are probably people who have had to answer these questions or are afraid of answering about past persecution and future persecution. And we did agree before this, we're not going to delve into the experience they had. I'm not going to subject them to discussing what they've gone through. Excuse me. So please stop asking questions about their past persecution. But I think it's a fair question to say, Pamela, did you fear future persecution? And did that come up in the interview at any time? Was it a topic?
Yes, we did. And yes, it came up during the interviews. It did.
Was it a major emphasis, or was it something they just kind of glossed over? Because some people have been telling me and claiming that they've been told by RSC that they don't care about future persecution, that doesn't matter. The problem with that is that isn't in accord with the U.S. law. The Immigration and Nationality Act of 1980, on the basis of future persecution alone, is sufficient to grant refugee status to someone. And the story I always tell is, if you're a homosexual and you live in Syria where they're dropping gay people off of roofs to their death, are we going to wait till you've been dropped off the roof and been persecuted? Oh, you can come over now. Sorry, you're dead. No. So, I mean, I'm not to delve too much into it, but did they give it much attention, or was it glossed over in your interviews?
No, I didn't give it much attention. It came up. Again, I think the whole world knows what's going on in South Africa. So I didn't sit there and try and explain to them everything that happened in the past few years. But there's certain things that happened to me and my family. I spoke about that. And again, I don't think that was the focus was on that. No, but it came up. And again, they were very interested in to hear what certain things that I experienced while I was a policeman. That's mostly what they focused on. I mean, Pamela's interview was like 10 minutes or so. I can't remember. It was mine was a bit longer.
Yours was longer because they had to probably establish your training and stuff like that as well. But if you can, if I know what you're asking, and I'm sure if you can articulate why you're afraid, and they do ask you to be specific. Though they ask you to name it on the name why you are, but I think if you have a fear of what's going to happen in the future, especially with jobs and so on, they definitely take that into consideration. Yes.
Well, guys, one thing we should point out here, and because I keep getting things for people all the time. Someone sent me an email last night that I got into about 2:00 in the morning, and said I've been robbed. This has happened. Broken into, carjacked. And I wrote to them and cautioned that, well, I empathize with your situation, but that's not justification or basis for refugee status. Being a victim of crime is not the reason. You have to be a victim of persecution. If you're a victim of crime because you were targeted specifically because you're Indian or colored or white, then we have something to talk about. But simply being a victim of crime, having been shot, having been robbed, having been sexually assaulted, that's not sufficient. Did they discuss that with you at all?
Yes, they did. Chris, some of the people that were part of the group when we went for our interviews, we didn't really we kept to ourselves, but we heard what people said, and one or two people they said, actually, look, this is not a competition, and the winner is going to be the person that actually worse things happen to. It's not about that. I felt like I genuinely had to express my interest in coming to the US. Not specifically that I felt special or something like that, or that I deserve it more than anyone of the other people that were there. It's just we knew what we were going to say. We were truthful. We didn't want to talk about things that were not relevant. But so they guided the whole interview. They asked specific questions and we gave specific, truthful answers. And I never felt uncomfortable. I never felt like they're asking something and I'm unable to give an answer. I never felt that. It was easy. It wasn't a difficult thing to do. They were very professional. That's what I can say.
No, I think that's a fair statement. I'm sorry, Pamela, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say it didn't feel like you had to prove why. Yes. It didn't feel like you had to sit there trying to prove why why you're afraid of future persecution, or that you just had to just give truthful answers, and it wasn't you have to sit there and tell the most horrific stories. It's not like that at all.
It wasn't about that. No.
Well, guys, you've reinforced points that I've stated since the very outset of this program. And once again, sorry, I'm going to toot my hat. It proved me 100% correct. Number one, you don't have to prove anything. You simply have to articulate, to explain, to get the message across. And you can't prove future persecution. It hasn't happened yet. This isn't Time Cop. We're not going into the future. So I think that's very important. And then the other point I've told people is never mislead, never omit, never lie. A statement omitted that you should have shared is a lie. And if you do that, you're going to jeopardize your opportunity. So being honest, and I've talked to people who've been convicted of treason in South Africa by the post-apartheid government. And I said, you're not necessarily bad. I mean, they'll look into that. That's why we have background checks and investigations. They're going to look to see if it was a legitimate case, if you're legitimately convicted or you're railroaded, because we're cognizant of the fact that governments are not always legitimate or fair to people. That's one reason for allowing this to happen. You know, it's people rushed around at the outset. I need a police clearance certificate. I'm like, no, you don't. We don't care what the SAPS has to say. You think we're going to trust what SAPS has to say when it comes to judging whether a South African is a refugee or not? The government is the source of oppression, unless I missed something here. I mean, it's fascinating to me where people ran off these documents. Now, let's go talk about some of the practical aspects of your journey, guys. Okay, so you went to Pretoria for your screening. Did you go there one time or multiple times? Did you stay in a hotel? Did you stay with family? Did you have to book a guest house? Did you do all that on your own? Did you drive there? Did you fly there? You just give us some of the details because, of course, this is what people want to know.
All right, good. No, we drove there. As I said, the pre-screening interview of Refugee Support Center occurred on the one day. They asked us to prepare ourselves to spend the whole day there. We did, and yes, we did spend the whole day there. 2 days after, or the day after, was the interview with US CIS, right? That was also the whole day. But I mean, we arrived in the morning, 8 o'clock, and we left 5 o'clock in the afternoon, went home again. Lichtenburg, that wasn't too far away from there. So they just basically ask you to prepare yourself to spend the whole day there. And that's what we did. We didn't stay over in a guest house. I'm not too sure what happened with the rest of the people. I know there were people from Cape Town that flew in, to attend the interviews, and I'm not too sure if they stayed over or not. I mean, I don't know about that. I'm talking about our experience.
Yeah, we got an email. I think during the day. That we had to be the next day. So we stayed over at Daniela. So they also asked for our documents. They asked for our marriage certificate. And strangely enough, I see a lot of people talking about unabridged birth certificates that you have to have. And we didn't have one. As long as you can, they asked your mother's and father's names, surnames, birth dates. And your siblings' names, surnames, birth dates, and that's what we gave them, and they didn't ask afterwards again for an unabridged birth certificate. I just wanted to put that out there because we don't have them.
So let me address that before we continue. So this is a point of contention in which I've been slandered by hate wankers out there that don't know what they're talking about. The law states that if you want to apply for a green card, permanent residency in America, you must have a birth certificate to prove your birth. However, the law also allows for exceptions because we realize, and the example I gave from the very outset when people were attacking me because they didn't listen, they selectively heard what they wanted. From the very outset, I've said that there are cases like my viewer Erica, one of my moderators, who was born in the Congo, the Belgian Congo. That's when she was born. There's no Belgian Congo government. There's no Katangan government where we lived under Moses Chombe. She can't get a birth certificate. It doesn't exist, and she'll never get one. They're never going to give her one. So in that case, there are exceptions, baptismals, other documentation that can prove your birth. So the law does say you have to have an unabridged. Doesn't say unabridged. We don't. By the way, that's another thing. South Africans coming unabridged birth certificate. They're the ones brought up. I didn't bring it up. I'm like, what the hell's an unabridged? We don't have unabridged. We have birth certificates. You get one. You're born. You're hatched. You get a birth certificate. I know what this unabridged stuff is. Anyway, so South Africans started this whole thing, and I investigated closer and found out that you need one for a green card. However, there are exceptions. So if you can get one, then get one. But people are losing their minds over it. So in your case, and I said that later on. My analysis after seeing several cases, particularly the 59ers, is that the birth certificate wasn't necessary to process you as a refugee. It may be necessary to get a green card. So apply for it. If it comes, you get it. If it don't, then when you apply for a green card, if you want permanent residency in the United States, then you sit after 12 months, then you simply say, I can't provide it. These are the documents I can provide, and see if it's acceptable. I'm sorry, I had to interrupt for that because I've been slandered and attacked and libeled on this issue, which is ridiculous. It's childish. These people want to be pity, pick, nitpick this, that, and the other. It's just absolutely silly. The bottom line is we can't just accept anybody who walks up in front of us. You rock up the office. I'm Juan Valdez, a coffee grower from Colombia. Really? You look more like Eric Larson from Norway than Juan Valdez, you know? Anyway, so, I mean, that's the purpose of this. Guys, let's shift to something else. There has to be something that was frustrating. It can't just have all been perfect and went well. What in this process frustrated you or is still frustrating? Is there anything? Let's be honest here. I mean, there's got to be something that didn't go well. I mean, if life was perfect, then we wouldn't, you know, if candy and nuts were, if Christmas, I always mess that up. Anyway, if and buts were candy and nuts, then Christmas would happen every day. That's it.
Okay, so the most frustrating part for me is that it didn't move. Our process didn't move with our kids. So it was the most difficult decision of my life to leave my kids. You know, we're trying to get away, and you have to leave the most important things to you there. So we did speak often about can the kids' cases also be moved up, and obviously they said they're adults, they have to be pros, they have to go through the process. We even asked if we could pause our process for them to catch up, and they said we suggest that we don't. And it honestly happened on the way driving back from work one day when I realized we can't pause it. I'm going to have to leave my kids here. So it was a big thing for me. So that's very frustrating. And also all the help that you get here and to set you up to succeed, like my husband said, which is true. I really haven't felt yet where I could have, settled and okay with the whole thing because they're still there. So that has been very frustrating to me. Okay, take over.
Yeah, I think attitude to the attitude you have when you're here. I can't really say that anything frustrated me. I think I'm a bit impatient. I expected to land here, and I wanted my social security number, and I wanted to start working, but it doesn't work like that. I understand it is a process, so that's all I can. Well, of course, the waiting period back in South Africa, waiting for the call, that was frustrating. I mean, you sprint across the passage when you hear your phone ring, and but that's all I can say. That was to me was possibly frustrating. It's a waiting period, and then the fact that I had to understand that there's a process, and I need to be patient. I need to wait for that social security card.
Another thing which is a bit lighter is you can't bring any. Well, you can, I suppose, if you want to, but it's not going to help it. Any appliances like a hairdryer or anything, because nothing's going to work here. And that's. Well, if you talk about nitty-gritty things like that, we didn't care about all that.
Nitty-gritty things.
It's nitty-gritty things. But I mean, you asked for, and that's about the extent of the frustration here. Everything that we said to our case worker, our case manager, everything that we need has been provided. So I can't, even a hairdryer. So I can't say that there has been many frustrations.
Well, it's an adjustment. But I, being an experienced pro at moving from one part of the world to the other, all of my minor appliances are dual voltage. So I can switch all of them. But I mean, you wouldn't have that call to have that in South Africa. Also, your plugs, which are, lethal weapons. I mean, your plugs for the mains are like, they're huge. You could kill somebody with those things. Ours are tiny little plugs that plug into the wall. So you need these big adapters. In fact, I've got some of them right here. So, hang on. There we go. So got the U.S. and European. Well, you can't see that. U.S. and European to the south. This thing is huge, man. Our plugs are tiny by comparison. So, I mean, it's an adjustment. No, I get that. So, but Maze is saying adapter plugs. You're going to have a hard time finding adapter plugs that convert South African to U.S. and America. There's simply no market for it. I mean, the tourist and business people come here are not large enough numbers that we would have that. This isn't like Europe. We're not Disneyland. I mean, you land in Europe, it's like Disneyland. You go to London, go to the airport, you got tons of adapters to the airport. Frankfurt, same thing. Rome, same thing. So you're just going to have to get things here. And the good news is that it's all cheap crap made in China, so it's not very expensive.
I can say this because what we need, we have. We didn't bring it here. We have everything we need as we sit here. Everything we need.
Yeah, people. I'm curious if people are asking what the voltage is in America. Seriously, you South Africans live sheltered lives. You don't even know what our voltage is. It's 110, 60 hertz. South Africa is 220, 240 with 50 hertz, just like Europe. But no, we're 110. Canada and the U.S. are 110 and 60 hertz. So that actually is a problem with the hertz because clocks don't run properly. They run slow or fast depending on where you go. So keep that in mind. So, Pamela, I want to go back to what you talked about a moment ago, because this has come up a lot lately. When this thing started, people are like, well, can I put my cousin and my brother and my friend and my children? And I told people, if you're an adult, which is 18, age of majority in America, you must submit a statement of interest. That's the norm. That's how the law works, because your family is your nuclear family. Now, if you have children that are in university, that are 19 or 20 or 21, that's considered still your nuclear family because they're still in your household. But if you've got deadbeat, shiftless, layabout, lazy, large bum-ass kids who won't work and sit in your house when they're 19, that don't count. They got to put a statement of interest in. Now, the reason I asked the question, because you just talked about your adult kids and their own path. They weren't on your statement of interest. And I've had someone tell me last night, two people tell me that, well, I have my cousin on my statement of interest, or my cousin had me on theirs and I'm getting to come over. My mind is just absolutely boggled by hearing that, and I wonder if it's really true. It may be true, but it's odd because it flies in the face of convention. That's not normally how it's done. If you're an adult, you must put a statement of interest, unless you have diminished capacity. If you're not mentally well, that's different. Or if you're an adult who's infirm, who is under the care. If you're the caregiver, the lawful caregiver for your elderly parents or a child with autism or something where they're diminished capacity, then that's a different story. But if your kids are healthy and they're adults, and especially if they've been, they're married, knocking up their spouse and having kids, I mean, that's not your family. That's your progeny. Okay. So what happened for you guys, Pamela? Obviously, they weren't on your statement of interest. Did that topic come up at all? Did they ask you, do you have other family? I'm just curious about that.
Well, the topic did come up from my side constantly. But what they said was they have to obviously fill in the statement of interest, and their process will be followed just like ours was, but separately. So we tried, believe me, if there was a way that we could link them to us, we would have done it. But they have to follow their own path, like you said. My kids are Daniela's married and Andre is on his own. They're not deadbeat kids, but anyway, they're very self-functioning. And
this came up during a conversation I had with someone from Refugee Support Center. When I started speaking about that, saying we want to include they told me, sir, you cannot make a decision for an adult. We're going to reach out to them and hear it from themselves. You cannot make a decision for them. Where they want to go, where they want to go not. We'll reach out to them, have the discussion with them. And that's when I knew, all right, leave it there. They have to follow the due process. That's it.
Well, this brings us to another topic which someone just mentioned here, and I'm guessing because they're not married. And I don't get South Africans and Australians and New Zealanders. You enjoy the milk, but you don't pay for it. I don't really understand that. So put a ring on, as Beyonce once said. But seriously, the question came up early on. So many South Africans have offspring with people who they're not married to for whatever reason. I'm not making moral judgments, or maybe I am. But seriously, this has come up many times. And, can I submit for my partner? If you don't have offspring with that partner, they're not a spouse. They're not your family legally. And I've told people this over and over again. A few people have gotten married because they want to get in the program, and they were going to get married anyway at some point. But the point here of the story is, because the question just came up in chat, are you guys aware of anyone who went there with their partner? And look, I mean, I hate this partner nonsense. It's like going to the UK. The UK has become such an immoral country, a bastardized land, that people don't even say their husband or wife anymore. My partner. Your partner, what are you, a business, a law firm? It's not your partner. Either you're married or you're not married. If you're knocking boots, okay, then tell me you're knocking boots with this chica, okay? That's different. So guys, was there, were you aware of anybody that was there processing that was a couple but not married?
No, I can't speak on that, Chris, because most of the people, or the people that were there, they were married couples. Some had children, minor children, but yeah, no, I can't speak on that. I don't know.
All right. So when you went through, what time frame were you getting interviews? Was that, it was August or was it September already?
No, on the 20th of August, we received email communication that notified us that the first interview would take place 2 days after. The day after, on the 21st of August, I got another email communication to say that the interview with USCIS will be the day after. So it was short notice, but I mean, like on the 26th, we received a communication to say that we have to complete the cultural orientation online. We did that, and I believe it was on. What happened with our medical examination was that I received a mail that notified us that we need to avail ourselves for the medical assessment on that specific day. And then when I checked, I saw that the mail was sent to an incorrect email account. And then I responded, because I mean, that's another thing that I was surprised by, is that you can communicate with Refugee Support Center. You can send emails to them once you have a reference number. You can send emails. There's emails that went back and forth between us. But I asked them, please, could you reschedule? And they did. And I think a week after that, on the 8th of September, they rescheduled the medical assessment at the International Organization of Migration, Pretoria.
So the
I
reason,
think they just.
sorry,
I think they just choose whether to respond to. I don't think they're going to communicate through thousands of emails. If it's got something specific to do with a date or something that had to be changed, they'll communicate with you. But no, I don't think they're going to answer.
Yeah, with a
anything
reference
else.
number. There's a reference number. It's what I said. There
Yeah.
should be a reference number. You use that in your email correspondence, and they will respond as they did with me. But yeah, they rescheduled.
no, exactly. That's I've told people that, like, they're writing to people. I'm like, you're sending emails. You don't have a case number. You're not even a system. All you've see. This is why words matter. The English language matters. All languages matter, but English is a very rich language, enriched by Latin, enriched by French, but by Norse, by Saxon. It is a very rich language, and words matter. No one has applied for the program until you've been contacted by the U.S. government, either through RSC or the Amerikaners or whoever, or USCIS. You have expressed an interest in participating in the program. That's why it's called a statement of interest. And lots of people who put in statements of interest haven't got a response, and so they send another statement of interest and another statement of interest, jamming up the system, causing headaches, and then telling me they've applied. Well, I applied in February. No, you didn't. There's no program in February. Well, yeah, but I sent an email. You sent an email expressing interest to PRM. That's different. You've not applied. This isn't like going into a bank and getting a loan. Not until you've got a case number. Then you've applied. Then you're in the process. Until then, you're nothing. I'm sorry, that's not an insult to anybody, but you've just filled out a form. You filled out a survey for Cockprot 24. That's all you've done. It's all you've done. And I'm sorry if you think you've applied, but you're not listening. Not you guys, but you're not listening. I've been saying this since February. So that's a very important thing for people to understand. But the reason I was asking the question about your time frame arriving is that I had several sources that reported to me that were there when you were there. That's why I was asking the dates. That those 2 weeks, there were almost 3,000 refugees who were processed through Pretoria alone those 2 weeks. Did you get a sense of a large number of people, or people embellishing? Or I'm just trying to get more confirmation from people who were on the ground.
Yeah, Chris, I know that we were a group of plus minus 50 people during the first pre-screening interview of Refugee Support Center, and again the interview with USCIS, we were also about 50 people. Some different people, but were not part of the first group. But I'm not too sure how many people I worked for. What I can say is we were 50 people during the first interview and 50 people, plus minus 50 people at the guest house. I mean, there's also only a certain amount of people they can accommodate at guest house. So on both days, plus minus 50 people at a time. I'm not too sure exactly what they did after, before, not too sure.
Well, that's not the only location where people are being housed. So that's how people should know that. So, sorry. Now a happy camper says my son turns 21 in January. I included my application. Well, that's If your son was living with you and going to school, that would be appropriate. But if they haven't done it, anyway, at this stage, it's getting a bit late for people. They either have to take a number two or get off the pot, as they like to say, without using the foul language. People, I can't understand. I guess, guys, let me ask you this. You can't speak for others, but I'm sure people talked. I know you did kind of stay to yourselves there. But did you get a sense that any of the people there were one of two groups? People who were simply looking for cheap economic immigration to get out of South Africa, or whiners. I'm getting a lot of whiners lately, and it's really becoming frustrating for me. And if you don't want to comment, you don't have to. I mean, but I'm just curious, did you see much of that? I would imagine most people are simply very grateful this opportunity presented itself and that they were there being interviewed.
Yeah. No, I'll gladly answer, Chris. Look, we never had any demands. We hoped for the best. We didn't. We feel special today, but we didn't expect, because of certain things we said, what a certain result. We didn't expect that. We continue to be grateful, and yeah, it's all I can say is that we didn't think at any point in time that because we did that, we now deserve this, and we deserve never.
And we didn't get a sense from the people that were being interviewed with us either. They were all just, it was all just gratefulness.
Well, Pamela, you answered my question. That was the question. Frick was answering for himself, but I was trying to get the bigger crowd. Thank you. Go ahead, Frick.
No. I'm with Pam. I think she.
Someone's asking, interviews done in Cape Town. No, they're not. But as I've indicated, I have sources in the U.S. government that told me that the intent was to begin doing them in Cape Town in October. Obviously, the budget shutdown makes that impossible. I don't know if they're going to be done in Cape Town anytime soon, but I appreciate the people who keep asking for Cape Town, but I mean, it's very selfish. What about the people in Uppington, the people in Polokwane, Petersburg? What about the people in Howick, or the people in Bolito? Well, people in Bolito are living a nice life, so don't worry about them. But but seriously, there's a whole big country there. So I constantly hear this. What about Cape Town? Well, what about the whole country? Again, if I ran the program, we would have offices rented all over the country in about 8 locations to make this more flexible for South Africans. I realize it's a big burden for people to fly, especially from Cape Town or from PE or from Uppington's the worst. I mean, it's expensive. Airlink is not a cheap airline, and they're the only real service to get from Uppington there. And who wants to drive 15 hours? That sucks, especially, you have to drive on those bumpy roads past Orania. You might lose an axle. Anyway, but seriously, guys, so you were able to drive. That's a blessing, I guess.
Yeah, it made it easier because we were not that far away from Pretoria. Like I said, I know there were people that flew in from Cape Town. Others, I'm not too sure where they were from. But we managed to stick to the time they gave us. We managed to attend.
So I want to ask this question, because this was, I can't believe that people, I think they must have been trolls, but back in March, I think it was, or February, March, when I told people requirements, and I talked about the screening process, including background checks, but also medical screening. And I talked about getting jabs. I'm not getting a jab. You can make it. And people are freaking out, and they all give me the finger and yelling at me because I said you have to get. I'm like, hey, look, if you don't want to get a jab, you're not coming here. My government has a responsibility to do no harm to its own citizens. And that harm includes not bringing people with active tuberculosis on a plane to America. That includes bringing people with deadly infections not to America. So if you don't want to get jabs, then, foot sec. That's what I say. Guys, did you have to get jabbed? And if you got jabbed, were you a pincushion? Because I've been a pincushion for the Army. I've been getting jabbed for almost 50 years. And, there's not much meat left here from all those needles.
Yes, we got our inoculations over again, because I mean there are some that you should get a booster for every year, which South Africa doesn't do. So yeah, we got our measles and tetanus, and we did. And there was one that wasn't available at our first screening that we got when we came here. Yeah. So yeah, we did get jabs, but it's not weird ones. Yeah. It's ones that you get when you're a baby, when you take your children, when they I think 6 weeks. I can't remember it so far back. But
we understood the need for it.
We understood the need for it, and you take your kids to get these jabs, and now when you're an adult, you don't want to get them yourself. I don't understand it either, but we understood why we needed to get it. It's nothing weird. It's just the same ones you've had before.
Well, and to explain that further, a perfect example of this is what Trump has talked about for years, and we have examples of it now. We have the media that talk about America as if it's a poor place or a terrible place because we have these outbreaks of measles. What they don't tell you is the outbreaks of measles are clustered around illegal immigrants who violated our law and invaded our country and bring their kids and dump them in our schools and bury us in social costs and taxes that we have to pay to put their illegal immigrants to the school and bring measles, mumps, rubella, chicken pox, things like that because they were never vaccinated. And then the media like, look, there's an outbreak of measles in America. Well, yeah, because criminals have invaded. Okay. Let's get back to topic. So someone, I think was just a moment ago, mentioned if you're in Uppington, guys, and you have to go to Pretoria for the interview, you can always take advantage of the Russian IL-76 shuttle flight that runs between Uppington and Lanseria after it drops off nuclear waste in Uppington. So, I mean, if you don't mind being irradiated, you can take the shuttle flight. I don't know if you guys are keeping up on the news, but a Russian plane landed in Uppington, unloaded cargo last week. So people are having a little bit of fun with that. Okay, guys, what have we not discussed? We've talked about your experience. We talked about your arrival here. Everything seems to be going pretty well. The biggest frustration or a concern for you now is that your kids are still in South Africa, and they all want to come over. They're in the process. So I guess at this point for you all, it's just a waiting game because of the freeze in the government activity.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, that's something that we can convey to the people in South Africa as well. Don't give up hope. Just be patient. Don't give up hope. Because we're definitely not going to give up hope. We know that we need to reunite with our children. We believe that with all our hearts, and we're positive.
So, Pamela, now that you're there, and I imagine that for their process when they go through this, they'll have an advantage from a standpoint. Do you have any family or relatives in America? Yes, our parents are living in Warsaw, and either they want to be near you or they don't want to be near you. I'm not going to get into that, but they could say that.
They want to come here.
What's that?
They better say they want to come here. Yeah, or they're not going to tell the people. This is to them. You guys better say you want to come here to us.
One of the first questions that comes up, they ask, do you have any relatives or family members? Yeah, definitely. It's one of the first questions they ask during the interviews.
Well, strangely enough, and this is fascinating for me, most people I've talked to who are refugees, either in person or I've interviewed on air, oftentimes, and some people who send me messages in the chat and email like, do you know anybody in America? And they're like, yeah, I know Colonel Wyatt.
You're going to end up with a lot of them near you.
Yeah, well, that's why I have crew serve weapons mounted in the front yard to keep those FEMA tents. How's your FEMA tent, by the way? We haven't asked about your accommodations. You said you live in a duplex. As the Brits like to say, that's a semi-detached home.
Yeah, no tent. As I said, we live in a duplex apartment. We live on a top part, and our 72-year-old neighbor lives downstairs. Great guy. But no tent.
Shame. Yeah, those FEMA tents are pretty Gucci. They come with air conditioning and heaters. And now, I don't know if this is a relative or just somebody that wants to be near you guys, but someone named Danielle Duprier says we want to be near them with a big heart. So I don't know if that's a family member or if that's just...
No, that's the daughter. That's the daughter.
All right. Well, good. So I was going to say, because if your kids tell you they want to be near you, but then they tell the immigration people they want to be in Texas, it's a long drive from Warsaw to Texas. Trust me.
Of course, like I said, Chris, it's when I received that call, when I discussed it with the agent from Refugee Support Center Kenya, when I said, look, because our idea is to bring our children here, and that's where they stopped me. I said, sir, sorry, you can't speak for them. They're adults. We're going to reach out to them. They're going to have to do it themselves. It's not up to you, sir. So, yeah.
Well, ostensibly they're adults, and I assume your kids are adults, but I mean, I look at members of Congress here in America in the 30s and 40s, and they're clearly not adults. So it's like somebody does have to speak for some of them. But another question quickly here is, how are you guys getting around? Public transport? Willem and Carl were very lucky. The Refugee Support Center there, those guys would acquire used cars, very inexpensive, that were operational, and they would make them available to refugees that they could buy them for a nominal cost. So they actually got a car for just $500, which is dirt cheap, and it works. I know it's not pretty. The paint's peeling off of it, but they gave it to their teenage daughter who's going to university. But because now they're able to get a car on their own. But are you getting around a public transport? Are you walking everywhere? I mean, what's it like? And by the way, what about the shop? Tell me that, then we'll talk about shopping. I don't know if either one of you are shoppers.
Okay, so let's talk about public transportation. Look, there's a long-term goal. Obviously, we're going to buy a vehicle, but that's not something we need yet. It's when I said, when we have everything we need, we really have everything we need. We have bus passes that we got when he came here. the bus services in Nassau is amazing. If you miss the bus and you're willing to wait half an hour, there'll be another one to pick you up, and we can go anywhere in Nassau with bus services. Really, it's something that I've never seen anything like that before. Really impressive. So yeah, to answer your question, I've asked this to our agent. I said, look, how was everything about our work? And I said, how am I going to get to work, and where am I going to work, and what? And he said, just be patient. You'll see. You can go anywhere you need to. And that's when we arrange the passes. And so yeah, to be able to move freely on weekends, because they only operate Monday to Friday, not Saturdays and Sundays. And I obviously may want to go to the gym or something like that. So then, yeah, you need transportation. Yeah, so to answer your question, public transportation, excellent.
All right, and now the real question: shopping. I hope you're not Mr. Price shoppers, but we have no Pick and Pay, no Checkers, no Mr. Price. We do have brands you're familiar with, not shopping but eating, KFC, McDonald's. But what about shopping? What's that been like? I'm sure you've probably been doing a lot of it. You're not Johann Rupert, or Anton Rupert.
Well, the places we can go shopping for food, and we're amazed to see that even at the filling stations, the shops at the filling stations have the freshest produce. Everything you need is at a filling station. We're not used to that. You have to go to a big shopping center to find really fresh, nice things. Woolies, I don't know if you, Woolworths, I don't know. Everything is compatible with Woolworths food. All the food and
everything is just bigger and better. I mean, that's a gas station that we're talking about. I'm not going to mention the names because I don't want anyone to say you're advertising for someone here, but it's really impressive. And like the Walmart, someone asked me what it's like, and I said, look, it's like a game on steroids. It's just absolutely amazing. If you should get what you need at a Walmart. Yeah.
Well, somebody mentioned Woolies a moment ago. No, we don't have Woolworths. They went bankrupt in America in the 1980s or 90s and went out of business. Woolworths, of course, is an American brand that was founded here. The name was licensed to Australia, to the UK, to South Africa. And the only one left, to my knowledge, now is South Africa, because the Australian and UK brands also folded their tent up in the last 15 or 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it's in Australia anymore. But South Africa still has the brand. But obviously, when I say South Africa, by extension, SACU. So Botswana and Eswatini and Namibia. I mean, that's all South Africa. Sorry, it's for the economy. So that's the only place you find Woolies anymore. But yeah, you find lots of stuff here. So the grocery stores, you guys, do you have Kroger's, or what are the brands up there?
Well, first of all, I just want to say we didn't go on any shopping spree, but yeah, we are able to buy what we need, and so yeah, that's something we enjoy. But yeah, you can maybe answer the question.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if Chris asked which shop. Kroger's, did you say something like that?
Yeah, I mentioned Kroger's. That's a Midwestern grocery chain. Is that one that's available, or what grocery chains do you have up there?
Yeah. We've been to Pick and Save, and well, there's the dollar store. Well, our agent has taken us to all the bus route, the shops on the bus route. So he's shown us all of the Pick and Save is the one that and we've got farmers
market. But I think Pick and Save is on a bus route, and a simple bus route close to us, and everything we need we get there. And yeah.
The garages or the quick trip garages.
Yeah, no, I was asking about supermarkets. So you have Checkers and ShopRite and Pick and Pay. We have Kroger's, Albertsons, Safeway, Winn-Dixie, Piggly Wiggly. Those are in the South. So I was just curious. No big deal. It's so those are just options out there. There's a lot of places you're mentioning, like the dollar store, Dollar Tree, things like that are that offer things less expensive, lower price. You can use smaller portions, that sort of thing, or not name brands, but kind of bargain shopping, that sort of thing. So what about, Willem and Cara, we're all excited about thrift shops and yard sales in America. They found the yard sale phenomenon pretty interesting. Is that something you've come across?
No, not yet. Like I said, because there's so much that we still need to explore. I know that, my neighbor told me that if you're looking to buy something, maybe just hang on and I'll tell you where there's proper garage sales, and go there. You'll be surprised what you but you can buy. I mean, he's a collector of firearms. He says he owns like 52 firearms, and yeah, I think some of those he bought at garage sales.
Well, he's got an armory. That's pretty good. I've got to address something in the chat. Chart Fundervault said, me and my partner, it's my partner and I, I'm correct your English, sorry. My partner and I have been handled as linked cases. We were traveling together in resettlement. Where'd it go? It just disappeared. Did you delete that? I need to correct that. So, Chart, you're saying that they are linking your cases. You've made my point. You're saying you don't have to be married. Well, you still, if you're not married, must do what I told you to do and which you've just confirmed, but people are inferring incorrectly what you stated. You must do a statement of interest if you're not married. You have two adults. You must do a statement of interest. How can you link the cases if you haven't put a statement of interest in there? If you put a statement of interest in with a partner who's not your spouse, well, there's no guarantee that they're going to process that. And as you said, your cases, you both put one in there linked. That's a different story. I'm not disputing that. But folks, if you're not married and you're an adult of the age of majority, you must put a statement of interest in if you want to participate in this program. Whether they link it or not, that's a different story. And in Chart's case, they're obviously linking it. But yeah, so anyway, just that's an important clarification. Okay. Cool. She just said that's because you're married. They also link my adult children our cases. We're all traveling together. Well, congratulations, Chart, but I can't point to cases where it hasn't happened. And here's the case right here. Their kids didn't come with them. They're adults, had to make their own decisions. But you're talking about linking cases. That's a different situation. Anyway, guys, so before we wrap it up, anything you want to say or any advice you want to share with people, both of you? I mean, you could take a turn here and say, hey, this was a horrible process. It was agonizing. It was unfair. America's a terrible place. We hate Donald Trump. I mean, tell us whatever you want to tell us about what your experience was.
Yeah, well, I can say, Chris, that I know there's a lot of people that are negative towards this whole program. Like I said, we believe the Almighty willed us to be here. And then secondly, the most powerful president in the world authorized me being here. So I really don't care what the negative people have to say, the naysayers. And it's true. 2 weeks ago, a little bit more than 2 weeks ago, we were in Lichtenburg, Northwest Province, South Africa, and now we're here. So it's a reality. It happens.
Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you. Thank you to everyone that made this possible. And thank you to the Lord. I mean, we wouldn't be here without him. And yeah, we're thankful.
Thankful.
Well, that's a hard thing to top. You guys are grateful. I'm really excited to hear here. And also, I'm also very grateful, too, that you've taken the time today to share your experience. Because as I said, it's the more we focus on people arriving, the easier it is to get the media off of people's backs and also to undermine the lies and the distortions that are being made about things. So thank you for that. Guys, Wisconsin, it is a lovely place. I've been there many, many times. A lot of dairy farms. Boy, they make a lot of cheese up there in Wisconsin. So I don't know if you're cheese aficionados, but I got to say I'm disappointed in the cheese options in South Africa, but you won't be disappointed in the cheese options in Wisconsin. And I don't know if you'll get into it, but football is a big deal for those folks up there, especially the University of Wisconsin Badgers. So we'll see how it goes forward. And I hope that your adult kids get over here as soon as possible and safely. And we look forward to hearing from them. And if they want to come on, they're welcome to come on. Also, you're welcome to stay in touch with me, and we can do some updates as things go. And get you as you move into your Playboy mansion with your 42 rooms, and you get your Ferraris and all the things that are coming your way. But seriously, once you're working and things are going smoothly, maybe you got a car getting around and able to travel. It might be interesting to hear how things are going. So, bye donkey for your time, Kia Labo. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you to you, Chris. Thank you very much.
All right, guys, I'm going to put you in a waiting room. Can I get you to wait around for about 5 minutes, and I'll come back to you? Is that okay?
Sure.
All right, because I just want to wrap up the program, and I'll put you in the waiting room, and I'll be right back. So don't close the stream. Okay. All right. Okay, waiting room. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Freak and Pamela. I didn't even go into joking about how she's got an English name, but I hope that was interesting to you and informative, and thank you for those of you in the chat who have shared your experiences. And I know not everyone's had a great experience from their perspective, but that's because some people have expectations that are unrealistic. I don't know if anybody's been mistreated so far, although some people claim they've been mistreated, but oftentimes it's their perception, not the reality. But if anyone is mistreated, we'll address it. And I do know of at least 3 cases of people didn't get support they're supposed to get here in America. And so I've addressed that, and we've helped them get that support. And when I say we, I'm talking about my viewers from around the U.S. and from South Africa, as well as the organizations responsible for it. So thank you all very much. Next up in about 42 minutes will be today's news broadcast, Chris Wyatt Reports. I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you. Be sure to share this link with folks on social media so they can watch this interview. This today is the first ever interview with South African refugees who are not part of the 59ers. So we're now interviewing new arrivals, and I hope you found it interesting. God bless and have a good day, and hopefully I'll see you in the news program. Cheers, everybody.